Dark Dove, yes I know, another video, another update video. I did say at the end of my last video that I was going to do a follow-up because there was another bunch of stuff which I didn't get time to fit into the last video. In the few days since I threw that video up, I have picked up some more stuff, so I'm going to try and get all this stuff out of the way, and I'm going to try and kind of do less of these update videos because I've picked up a ton of stuff in charity shops lately, and it's kind of piling up. You know, I have a big pile of to show stuff. So maybe just get this video out of the way, and perhaps I've been planning to do maybe a few retrospective videos on stuff that I think I may do a krautrock video, show some of my krautrock stuff. But anyway, okay. Something which I picked up since my last video. This is something I spotted in a window of a second-hand bookshop and record store. This is Dig, Miles Davis featuring Sonny Rollins, on Impulse. Originally came out in 1956, recorded in 1951. Spotted this in the window. This is actually a very recent reissue, only from 2013. So basically this is almost new. Just came out 3 years ago. But it is a second-hand copy. So I picked it up for €10. Didn't look like it had ever been played, so I don't know how somebody, I don't know, maybe it came from, it was unused stuff from a shop or something. But yeah, so this is recorded back in '51. Miles Davis started to move into the bop style of jazz, and of course featuring Sonny Rollins on saxophone. Sonny Rollins, who is still with us at the age of, I think, 85. This has been reissued many times over the years with different covers, but this is the original cover. So yeah, so it's 2013 reissue, and it sounds pretty good. I can't fault the sound on this particular reissue. So nice to pick that up for a pretty good price for virtually unplayed second-hand copy. Okay, something else I've picked up in the last few days. This is something which I spotted in a local flea market. Now, may I add that flea markets here, the flea markets we have here in Ireland, they're a little different to the flea markets that you might get, say, on the continent or in America. They're not really places where you pick up things really cheap. They're kind of hipster affairs, like a vintage, you know, these people who picked up sourced stuff in charity shops, and then they sell it for, you know, you're not going to get things really cheap in these places. But anyway, this is something which I spotted a couple of weeks ago. The woman selling it was looking for too much for it. She was looking for €15 for this, and I know that it goes for a lot less than that. Came back just a couple of days ago. It was still there. She went down to 10, so I got it for 8. So beat it down to €8, and that is something that was on my want list. Bo Hanson, and music inspired by Watership Down. Bo Hanson. So the only other thing I have by him is music from Lord of the Rings, which I was very lucky to pick up cheaply in a charity shop a few years ago. That's much harder. That goes for a lot more. This one came out in '77. I think it's his 4th album. And of course, I wouldn't say it's as good as Lord of the Rings one, but it is. It is nevertheless. It is very kind of Pink Floyd. Heavy use of well, of course, you know, organs, of course. It's on the Charisma label. Now the disc is pretty much perfect. Now the album itself, it was obviously stored somewhere pretty damp. The sleeve is kind of damp, so I have been leaving it outside the backyard and in the sun for a bit. But it's not badly water damaged or anything. But there is a bit of a smell of damp off it. But I think €8. I think that's pretty much about what it goes for. So I think it was a fair enough price for it. Sorry, I still have to pick up Magician's Hat. That's the other one that I'm really looking for by him. Jesus, sorry. Okay. No. Everything that I'm going to show from now on are charity shop finds, or what kind of charity thrift shop finds, and more pickups from the library. I'll get into that in a minute. I picked this up in my previous video. I showed an EP by Random Hold, which I picked up in a junk shop. Now I went back to that junk shop. This is something which I missed. I think it was probably there, but I must have obviously missed this last time. So this is by Kate and Anna McGarrigle. This is called Pronto Monto, from '78. I think this is their third album. Kate and Anna McGarrigle, of course, sisters from Quebec. One of them, I think it was Kate. I'm not on. One of them was married to Loudon Wainwright. Loudon Wainwright. Anyway, yeah. So I wouldn't say this is their best album, but it does have some really good songs on there. I think the best song is the title track, which is sung in French. This has actually never been reissued. It's still unavailable on CD, strangely enough. Absolutely perfect copy, and I got it for €3. So let's pick up now. I think it was yesterday, or the day before yesterday. I went into there's a charity shop that I go into sometimes. It's in a shopping centre here in town. Now the shopping centre is due to close soon, so this charity shop is closing along with it, obviously. So they're getting rid of a lot of their stock. They've put out all of their vinyl. Now I've picked up a couple of things there in the past. Usually they don't do anything of interest, but they are after putting out all of their vinyl, obviously, which they've had in their storeroom, and I did come across some very nice stuff. Let's see now. I picked up 6 items in total. Are it 6 or 8? Now, these three are all US pressings. Now, this is a band I'm not from. Well, I've seen their stuff shown occasionally online. Stoneground. I knew the cover from somewhere, but I wasn't usually familiar with them. I think it's some kind of psychedelia from 1971. On Warner Brothers, and this looks like it's literally never been played. It looks just in near mint condition, and that is the case with the other 2 US pressings which I picked up, which obviously all came from the same collection. Friends of Distinction. Love Can Make a Difference. Friends of Distinction. I have that album with the kind of colourful cover. Real Friends. Some 73. MRCA, and again, this looks unplayed. I haven't played any of these yet, by the way. I haven't had the chance to play them yet. Okay. That aside, now this one is a bit of a weird one. Wheels, the Hardy Boys. I knew that there was a TV series called the Hardy Boys, which was shown on TV. I remember it being shown over here in the late 70s and early 80s. And I was looking at this because this came out in 1970, and I was looking at it and thinking, is that connected with the Hardy Boys TV series? And I thought, but I picked it up anyway. It turns out, which I didn't know, that it was 2 Hardy Boys TV series. Another one which came out in late 60s, early 70s, and that's the one that this is connected to. I don't know what this is like. I haven't played it, but I grabbed it anyway. I don't know. It's probably, I don't know what to expect with it, but it looks like it's never been played. So and it was very, very cheap. So now the rest of my finds are all Irish folk. Christy Moore, legendary Irish folk. These are 2 albums by him from the 80s. Ride On, which came out in 80. Oh no, sorry, Ordinary Man, which came out in 85, and Ride On, which came out in 84. These 2 albums are very commercially successful, and they kind of, like, they're not bad albums, like, but they marked a point where he started to go off in a very commercial direction, and which he's continued to do since. And I'm more of a fan of his early 70s stuff and of his stuff with Planksty, as Ben Costello can attest. Now, these two are extremely. These 2 albums go for pretty major money in the wild. They're by a singer from Limerick, from Ben Costello's hometown, called Mick Hanley. This is called A Kiss in the Morning Early. This is, I think, his 2nd album from 1976. Ben, you don't have this one. I know you're looking for this, so now you have it. This is going to Costello Towers. So on the Mulligan label, which I've gone into previously on, I think, one of my recent videos, so won't into that again. Okay, and the next one, sorry, this is also by Mick Hanley. As I Went Over Blackwater. This is from 1980, also on the Mulligan label. And this one, Ben, you do have this one. Now, I was with you when you bought this, and I know that you did spend quite a lot of money on this, because this does go for quite a lot. So it was fantastic to pick this up for. I got these all for less than €1. I think I got 8 records in total for €6. So this was a brilliant score. And actually, I haven't had the chance to listen to any of them yet, so I'm not going to go into kind of. This is another one on the Mulligan label, and this is by a guy who I'm not familiar with. Liam Weldon, Dark Horse on the Wind. This is an early release on the Mulligan label from 1976. Interesting gatefold sleeve there, and interesting artwork as well. Okay, so that's it. That's that is that particular haul. Um, a local record store. Not doing them back. Local record store have a sale at the moment. A couple of boxes of stuff that they're getting rid of, 50 cents each. This is a 12-inch by Robert Marlowe, The Face of Dorian Gray. This came out in 1983. This was produced by Vince Clarke. Vince Clarke of Yazoo and Depeche Mode. So grab that for 50 cents. Nice bit of early 80s synth pop. This is pretty interesting. Mount Florida Stealth. This is on Matador Records from 1999. This is a group I wasn't familiar with previously, but I really love this. This is kind of down tempo, very kind of Boards of Canada. Actually, they're from Scotland, like Boards of Canada. So 50 cents for this was fantastic, because this is really, really good. Tree Classical Records. This is I'll just show you the inner bag on this, because this is quite interesting. Tips on looking after your needle. This is a really early Deutsche Grammophon. Deutsche Grammophon label, mid 1950s, I think, in really nice condition. Beethoven and Rudolf Kemper, and another 1950s, Elgar, His Master's Voice, Nipper the Dog. Okay. The library, the city library in town, where I previously made that big haul of vinyl for 50 cents each. I called back there and see if they had anything left, and yes, they did. I picked up about another 10 or 12 records for 20 cents each. I'm not going to show everything. I just show a couple of them. Again, another big bunch of classical records, 20 cents each. These are just some of them. I just showed this one because this is the most interesting one. This is a box set by Alkan, French Jewish composer of the 19th century, precursor to Satie, I think. He composed piano music. This is a three-disc box set for 20 cents, and this box set, it normally goes for around, it's pretty rare, it normally goes for around 15 to 20 euros. He was a bit of a strange character, by the way. There's only 2 photographs of him known, and one of them is with his back to the camera. That's him in later life. So very pleased with that pickup. Now, another big charity shop haul, which I actually made a couple of weeks ago, which I meant to show in my previous update video, but I didn't have time. Another charity shop which is closing. Yeah, so a lot of them are closing, unfortunately. This is a charity shop where I've made fantastic finds in the past. I'm going to be sorry to see it go, but yeah, they put out the rest of their stock as well, and they had a 3 for 2 sale, so grabbed a load of stuff. The Brendan Voyage, Liam O'Flynn. I already have this, so this is going to Jersey side to Earl of Suave. So Jimmy Earl of Suave, you're getting this. It's a fantastic album. You really like it. The Crooked Road. Now this is another really rare album on the Gay Lynn label. This goes for quite a lot. Eamon de Butler, who he used to make wildlife documentaries for Irish television, but he was also involved in Irish traditional music. So this came out in 1973 on the Gay Lynn label, and yeah, it's pretty rare. More Irish folk, the Bothy band, featuring Donal Lunny and co. Fantastic album on the Mulligan label yet again. Irish harp music, the new string harp. Marini Kossig, can't quite pronounce her name. This is on a label called Temple Records, which is actually a Scottish label. This came out in 1985. Also on the Gay Lynn label, Mary Bergen, Fadoga Stain, traditional Irish music on the tin whistle. This came out in 1980. Now a couple of soundtracks. Soundtrack to a French movie called A Man and a Woman, which came out I think in 1967. Francis Lai, who I didn't actually know, but he's the same guy who did the music for Love Story. This is pretty well known. This soundtrack. It's got this it's got a kind of weird, kind of cheesy charm to it. It's pretty well. You probably know it if you heard it. The main theme from it. It's kind of yeah. So another soundtrack, interlude. Original music composed by Georges Delerue. Yes, another soundtrack to another French movie. Okay, now this is a label that I always grab when I see it. I've only about 4 items on this label. Telefunken does alto work, specialized in baroque music. This is like George Teleman, and always grab this label. Modern American classical, Barber, Ives, Copeland, and Cole Preston, some Argo. More baroque music on the Deutsche Grammophon label from Bach and Vivaldi. More baroque from Telemann and Bach on French label called Music Disc. More Vivaldi, again on the mini disc label. Mozart, performed by Yehudi Minheim, that famous violinist. I'll just briefly show a couple of CDs. I also grabbed these in the same location. This is by Jean Taverner, Celtic Requiem. This was actually released back in 1971 on the Apple label. John Taverner, he actually befriended Ringo Starr, and Ringo signed him to the label, where he released 2 albums on Apple. One was called The Whale, and this was the second one. This is a really weird kind of avant-garde. It sounds almost like it could be kind of a lost soundtrack to The Wicker Man, but this is actually the CD reissue from 1993, and this actual CD issue is itself very rare, very hard to find, because I don't think it's been reissued since. This is also by John Taverner, The Protecting Veil. This is from the more recent, from the 90s. kind of probably more slightly more conventional, not quite as out there. And this is what is this? A Gast View. This is a industrial group from Brazil, late 90s release. This is actually a Canadian CD. It's Canadian. So that's whoever bought this paid 25 Canadian dollars for it back in 1998. Okay, so that's it. Okay, so I'm going to try and do not so many of these updates. I'm going to do a few retrospective videos. I'm going to do one on krautrock. Maybe I'll think of a few other ones to do, but okay. Until then, everybody have a great weekend, and thanks for tuning in.